Hey friends, Dawn here, welcoming you to the Soul Goals podcast and year number 3. This year, we are diving into expanding our perspectives, challenging our belief systems, and working the mental and emotional muscles of our souls. Though still all about growth and connection, this year finds opportunities to hear from people in our communities that have walked a path that might be different from our own, but that ultimately present us with the chance to look at a subject in a different light and learn other ways we could approach challenges in our own world. Let's get to it. Hi, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Soul Goals podcast. Really excited for my guest today, as right before I hit the record button, we had the best conversation about life in general. I can't even begin to describe. So I'm excited to bring my wonderful guest, Sami Shea, to the platform today. We're going to speak about redirection. The subject is redirection, and God knows we've all had it in our lives. I met Sami through Nashville Creators. Like I said that correctly, right?
Yes.
Yes. Nashville Creators. This is a space for creatives made by creatives in the Nashville area. They do video, they do photography, and they have monthly memberships for creatives, which I think is a really beautiful thing. Check them out online, and I can link them as well. They're such a great place. But I actually met you through a photography class there randomly. And when you meet people and you're like next to them and you're like, you are intriguing and I want to know more about you. Like, that's what I thought. In the best possible way.
That's a really nice compliment, and I will take that. I love that.
I just, people just exude different energies. And I'm like, okay, so afterwards, I was like, we need to talk. And come to find out, we know the same people, specifically your boss.
Yes.
I know your current boss and
boss.
his family, which is great. So Sami is a production assistant for Old Dominion. If you haven't heard of Old Dominion in country music, you've been living under a rock for many years. So Sami travels with them and does pretty much everything in between production, from marketing, video, assistant. I mean, you're on the road with them quite a bit, right?
If they are together as a group, I am there with them. Yes.
It's a lot. And it's a group. It's not just one person.
5, actually. That's 4 more than 1. That's 5 principal artists that we juggle. I mean, I'm not alone. We have a great team. It's not like I'm out here in the trenches by myself, but yeah, it's quite a life, I will say.
Right?
Yes.
Not the life that you initially envisioned for yourself. I know from what we started talking about. And I think we got on the subject of what redirection looked like. And it just kind of materialized in our conversation about the fact that you were going to college as an athlete, as a Division I athlete, as a gymnast, nonetheless. And my younger daughter was a gymnast for years. And so that was that really cool kinship that we had. But your story was so heartfelt for me and intriguing for me. And I wanted you to come on and talk about redirection because our best laid plans aren't always what occurs. And my older daughter will say this, like, we make our plans and God laughs at them, basically. It was like, yeah, here we are. And now what are you going to do with this? Right.
Yeah.
So tell the folks at home how you, first of all, you were a gymnast for a number of years. That was a huge identity for you for a number of years. And your goal was to compete at the collegiate level. So let's talk a little bit about how all that materialized for you, where you got started with it, what your desire and your drive was to pursue that.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. Right off the bat, I had the upper hand in gymnastics in general because my mother was also a gymnast. She was a collegiate gymnast at University of New Hampshire. So I kind of had an inside scoop more than other people my age, maybe. Now, collegiate gymnastics and gymnastics as a whole had obviously changed immensely from the time my mother was a gymnast to the time I was. However, my mom was still in the gym coaching. So there was actually a chunk of my career where my mother was my coach.
Oh my gosh.
In junior high and high school. So you can imagine how easy that was. Honestly,
Right.
I have to say we did great. My mother and I we have a great relationship. She's my friend now, the mothering part, she can't ground me anymore, that kind of thing. But so I kind of had the upper hand without even knowing it from the start. I got into gymnastics kind of on accident because my mom was coaching and I was at the gym while she was coaching. And it's just kind of like a free for all. It was babysitting. It was there was a million girls and other coaches around that were making sure that I was alive. And then all of a sudden, 20 years later, I was still doing the sport. And
Wow.
obviously there's a lot of ups and downs in between that, but I am a very competitive person. My
Mhm.
father was also a collegiate athlete, so I just come from a family of athletes. I have a younger brother who is a hockey player at Yale University, so it's just kind of like sports were our thing.
Yeah.
Uh, Gymnastics is one of the most mentally and physically trying sports there are. I know I'm biased. I know I'm biased, but
No, you're not wrong. I mean, I know just from watching no, like, from watching my daughter go through it at a young age, and literally, she was in it from age 5 to 10, and she was competing at a pretty high level. For a 10-year-old to have to, quote, "retire" because of injuries, like, the and the
unfortunately,
mental
kind of common.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I think it's listen, that's but the sport of gymnastics is such a discipline that has shaped absolutely every nook and cranny and version of myself even today as a 35-year-old working professional woman. But I would not change it for anything. I had obviously I was plagued with injury myself. I mean, speaking of redirection, we were speaking about that, but the growth I immediately knew I wanted to be a gymnast for the rest of my life as a child. Okay, so when you're 7, 20 years old seems the rest of your life. Um,
Right.
but it was, it was a family commitment. Like I said, my mother was my coach. I was training 20 to 30 hours a week by the time I was in fifth grade. Like it started in
Mhm.
fifth grade. And there there was no after school cartoons. Maybe on Wednesdays, I had Wednesdays off, but Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, I was in the gym 4 to 6 hours. In the summer, it was even more in the off season. And the travel was extensive. I mean, I
Mhm.
think about now as someone who has to pay their own bills. How did my parents do that with the
Right.
training, with the leotards, with the travel, the hotels, the coaching fees, the competition fees? It just like it will make my mind melt. So I feel like I have an appreciation for my parents even more now that I kind of see the bigger picture. But
Mhm.
it was all I knew. It was all I loved. It was who I was. Like even when I was in high school, I was Sammy the gymnast. I did high school gymnastics for a brief moment, but I was really concentrated in the USAG Junior Olympic level of competition because I wanted to be a Division One athlete.
Yeah.
Uh, and ultimately, after many many years, that did come true. And it was not easy, and it didn't go to plan.
Mhm.
First, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh time it felt but
Mm.
like I said, I mean, I refer back to my parents, like, they had been athletes their entire life. I had such a great basis and such a good sounding board that at the time, I didn't even realize the upper hand that I had. I think it's something that I've realized later in life, which I don't know, I try and tell them thank you now, but I hope that translates. I'm just like, "God,
Yeah.
I probably just assumed," which I did. I assumed everybody's parents would drive to Minneapolis on a Saturday to go
Yeah.
to a gymnastics meet for, a couple hours. But if you think about it, gymnastics, the routines are only what, a minute, 30 seconds?
So short.
But my dad,
Mhm.
would get off a plane, drive to Minnesota, see me compete for whatever, turn around, drive back. And like I had a brother who is also in hockey, and hockey is the
Yeah.
same season as gymnastics. So it's so much juggling. And like as far as I was concerned, it went seamlessly. And I just feel
Yeah.
like, wow, how did I not know and how did I not see? But I feel like I've learned so much, even how to like maybe translate that if I'm ever lucky enough to have my own children and bring them into a sporting environment. I'm like, hell yeah, I got the blueprint.
Totally. Yeah.
Sorry.
You can say whatever you wanna say. You're good.
Sorry.
I will just tell you that commitment and that drive, I mean, it's innate in you. It's just you're exuding it. And a lot of that is that, like you said, that blueprint. Like, the blueprint is where it starts. And, I remember a time too when I was thinking at different points in my therapy, I'm like, when I realized that not everybody else's family had this situation or that situation. And I was either going, "Oh, wow," in a like, "Whoa" kind of way, or "Oh, wow" in a thankful kind of way. It's that
Yes.
realization of where did we come from? What's our basis? What's our roots about what it is that we want to do with our life and what direction we want to head,
Yeah.
you know?
And I think it's so, I don't know, it bums me out that when I see young children now,
Mhm.
and I see that they have great parents. I don't wanna be that old haggard woman that's like, "You don't know how good you got it, kid," but, like, I feel like I wish someone would've said that to me. Would I have listened to them?
Yeah.
No, of course I wouldn't. I would've been like, "Whatever, my parents are so annoying. They make me go to practice." And I'm like but I
Yeah.
also have to say, you know what? My parents were incredibly dedicated, to being, the athletic parents, but never once did they push me. I was the one that wanted to go. I wanted
Right.
like, not being able to go to the gym was a punishment. Like, it was if you don't get this done, we're not gonna be able to make it to the gym type thing, like, that was a no-go for me. I would get anything done to make sure that I made it to practice. Practice was
Mhm.
so important. It was not only was it important for the sport that I love, but those were my best friends. Like those girls
Yes.
I still keep in touch with, and we've grown literally since almost birth all the way up through now. These women are married with children, having their
Mhm.
own daughters enter gymnastics. And I'm like, that is a moment to watch from afar. And
Mhm.
I don't know, I love that. I love the next generation of it. And I feel like, man, isn't it so cool that we kind of learn the basics of how to become a productive member in society together? And look how many
Yes.
different options and different lives we've chosen, but it all kind of stemmed from the same core community and values. And I really geek out on that as an old lady scrolling the internet now, seeing everybody achieve all their dreams.
Yeah, well, you think about it like that metaphor for life and what sports teaches us,
Yeah.
and no matter what your path is, no matter what your direction ends up being, like, I think that's cool, and you always will have that tie with those people.
Yeah.
I love that, no
Yeah.
matter what direction you go. So tell me a little bit about your path into collegiate athletics, into collegiate gymnastics, because that's ultimately, with injuries, a lot of the things that happen to you that cause you to go, "All right, this is where the rubber meets the road. Is this really what I'm supposed to be doing? Where am I supposed to be?"
Oh,
Uh,
yeah.
give me all the lowdown on that, because I feel like from talking to you, that was a really formative time in your life. And when you're
Yes.
dealing with all of those, they talked about the mental stress of gymnastics, not only the physical, but the mental, and the age that you are and the determination that you have. So you're trying to manage that competitiveness, that drive, and that desire and that goal with these other things that are a little bit out of your control. It's like, I can do the best that I can, but I can't control all the outcomes. And at a formative age, how do you manage that in your brain when things are redirected for you?
Gosh. Okay. I feel like I have so many answers to this. Okay. My
Mm,
path was, I mean, like I said, it started from the very beginning. And the thing about gymnastics is that it is grueling training from the beginning. There are some, like, lead up courses, but once you're into like competitive, even if it's compulsory gymnastics, it is a very, very big time commitment. Um, and it's young. I think that scares a lot of people away from the sport of gymnastics in
mm,
general. But once I made it through junior high, I had like a fantastic junior high time. Like that's what I feel like. I grew literally physically so much. I started sixth grade at like 4'11", and I graduated eighth grade at like 5'4". Now that might not
wow.
sound like a lot to normal people, but when you're gymnastics, everything is like literally by inches, and the
Yeah.
settings and everything. And by the way, you're launching yourself into the air, trying to get your timing, your body awareness. Now I weigh more, I'm taller. All
Mm,
of those things change. Like you think about the kids that like put on pants and then the next time they put them on, they're a little too short. That was me.
mhm,
But then you have
mm,
to apply that to my sport in general, which could be dangerous, can be mentally stressful, can be
yes.
scary, very, very scary, a lot of mental blocks. Um, but I feel like once I got through junior high and I started high school, I knew 100%. It didn't matter what anybody else said. I was going to be a college gymnast. I knew that going into my freshman year of college. I knew that I was almost kind of like, well, I made it this far. I might as well cross the finish line type of thing.
Yeah.
So I feel like high school presented different challenges that I didn't see coming because I was a child. But
Mhm.
the social aspect of it and the fact that everybody's going to football games and gets to do all these things. And like, I have a little more of a regimented training schedule. I
Yeah.
think I did a great job of balancing both. Again, shout out to my parents for really helping me through that. But as everybody knows, junior year comes around, college, 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 college.
Mhm.
I was a fine student. I got A's and B's. I wasn't the studious type. I was not necessarily the class clown, but I'm sure, as you can tell, I did not shut up ever. That has been the same since probably birth. But
Awesome.
I feel like I love the social aspect of school. I mean, I understood that you had to get good grades to get that, but I was not focused on the academics of college,
Mhm.
ever. But I knew that I wanted to be in the competitive environment.
Mhm.
Unfortunately, I suffered my first, what I would consider my real first setback my junior year. I tore my shoulder and I had to have
Mm.
constructive surgery for labrum tears. And I'm sure, as you can imagine, using your shoulders in gymnastics is incredibly important. So I
Yeah.
do feel like it killed a lot of momentum that I had of colleges looking at me. And also,
Mhm.
back in the day, when we didn't have all of this beautiful digital technology, we would film on a
Yes.
giant camcorder, put it onto a VHS. I mean, by the time I was a junior, we could do it on DVDs. So not to flex, but DVDs to send to colleges. So, I'm just like hustling. with my
Yeah.
mom trying to make these DVDs, send them out. And I did get some traction. The shoulder surgery really kind of pulled the plug on a couple things.
Mm,
So that was devastating. I'm starting my
mhm,
senior year, and I also want to refer back to that group of girls that I grew up with as a child. So I was one grade older than the majority of my training group. Um, I graduated high school in 2008, and the majority of the girls that I was training with graduated in 2009.
mhm,
That might not seem very important, but when I'm starting my senior year and I am fresh off an injury, I have no offers on the table. This is what I've dedicated my entire life to. And now the girls the year behind me have already signed, already committed, already moving on, planning their dorm. They are going into their
mm,
junior year and they have 2 years to kind of coast and learn more skills and become better for the university of wherever they were going. We had
mhm,
girls in Iowa, Michigan, Texas, Oklahoma, UCLA, like everywhere, big schools. And there was me, unoffered,
mm.
still training, trying to rehab my shoulder, trying not to freak out. It's only
Yeah.
my life.
Yeah. It's
Ultimately,
everything you've worked at, and you're trying to process the injury first of all,
oh,
right? On top of not being able to see not everybody around you and not compare, although you're a formative teenage girl that's worked really hard. How can you not, you know?
I do think I did a pretty good job of not comparing myself in a way. And I don't know if this is where I learned this, but I feel like I really pride myself on still being able to maintain the compare. I don't play the comparison game because the thing is that you're not me.
Mm,
And so I remind myself that even to this day. And I think that this is probably where it started. It was like,
yeah.
hey, I am happy for them. How could I not be? This is amazing. And you can have two things can be true at once. I can be happy for them and bummed for myself and not let those interfere with one another. And
Oh,
I do
thank
think
you for
this
saying
was,
that.
yeah, I think this was my first lesson of that, especially when it comes to women in general. I don't know what it is
Mm,
about the game of comparison, but I think women are a little more guilty of it. And I just don't want to
mhm.
be that person. I think this was my first taste of that.
Yeah.
Ultimately, I was afforded an opportunity after a senior year that was fine. I mean, I limped through it. It was fine. I was okay. I definitely wasn't my best. There was a competition that was offered for those of us. There's, a state, regional, and national qualifier at the end of the season in USAG level. I made it to regionals. I did not qualify for nationals. I didn't think I was going to qualify for nationals. I was doing watered down routines and was like
Mm,
trying to get anyone's attention in college gymnastics. So uh,
yeah.
it wasn't necessarily a shock, but something that they do for seniors and even juniors is that if you don't qualify for the national competition, which is where all of the college coaches are, by the way, that's why it's important to qualify to nationals because you get your first look on the college level.
Mhm.
I didn't get to do that. So there's this almost like an exhibition competition that's held around the same time as nationals in the same location. It's called College Bound. So it's essentially an event for people like me who have kind of slipped through the system, and we still have talent here available for your college teams. So
Okay.
nevertheless, I sign up for this and I compete in it. I did not have a good day. I was like, I remember being very bummed with myself. I was like, this is over. Like, this is
Mhm.
I'm gonna walk on. I was also thinking about holding back a year and just training a year at my gym and not even going to college. Like that's how much I thought I wasn't going to be a college gymnast at this point. Um,
Wow.
and after the meet, I will never forget. The leotard I was wearing, the ankle tape, the smell. Like I will never forget this moment. A man named Jerry Reichard, who at the time was the head coach of Central Michigan University, walked right up into my face and he said, "Hey, my name's Jerry Reichard, and I'd like to pay for your college education if you can show me that vault you just competed, but on a hard surface."
Wow.
What the hell is Central Michigan? Okay. I was like, I had
Yeah.
Central Michigan. I didn't know. I was like,
Right.
oh, okay. And in referencing what he was speaking about is that the good thing about this college bound meet is that you didn't really have to have polished routines. It was more so like an exhibition, like show us what you're working with. So I didn't really have to
Mhm.
put everything together like the girls in the national competition did. I could show them like, hey guys, this is what I can do. And this is
Yes.
my potential of where I could be. And so that's what he was referring to, that I was competing, let's say a level how do I explain this in not gymnastics terms? I was competing a more basic vault, but I was showing that I had the capability to do the next step above. So that's what he
Right.
was talking about. He's like, if you can show me that you can do that next step above on a hard surface, which is basically a competition mat, instead of, we have pit foam and resi mats that take away the brunt of
Mhm.
gymnastics. He was like, if you can show me this on a competition surface, I'm going to pay for your college. And I was like, oh, what?
It's
Okay, so this was
amazing.
maybe like a Thursday, Friday.
Mhm.
On Sunday, I booked he calls, we booked the trip, whatever. My parents come up, I go and do an official visit at Central Michigan. And I think it was like on Tuesday, I had decided that I was going to sign there. So it was within a week.
Yeah.
Um, and it was just like, I mean, I think back to that time. I think that time in your life is confusing as is. And then all of that extra stress, pressure, and then all of a sudden relief, and then excitement, and then
Mm.
scared, and then everything. And when I tell you, I signed this national letter of intent at my kitchen counter with my mom. She's like, this is a big deal. This is huge. Like, we're gonna have a little celebration. My mom is very big. Her tagline is celebrate the moments.
Yes.
Something that I've really appreciated now in my older age, but at the time I was like, "Okay, mom, don't be weird. I'm just signing a piece of paper." No, I wasn't. I was signing my national letter of intent to be a Division I athlete. Like, that is
Mhm.
a big deal. Thank you for celebrating that with me. But
Right.
I kinda downplayed it because I was like, "Yeah, I mean, everyone has one of these, mom."
No, they don't.
Right.
Yeah.
I realized that. At the time, I didn't. Uh,
Yeah.
so I signed that on, like, a Tuesday, and I'm not even kidding, Dawn. I packed up my stuff, and I moved to Central Michigan the following week, and I started summer classes, and I started training at the gym. That's how eager I was to become
Oh,
a gymnast. I was
wow.
like, "Oh, I'll skip this whole summer. I'm gonna go train. I'm gonna get to know the coaches. I'm gonna get to know the campus." I took this BS class that was, like, required for Division I athletes, and so I walked in. It was all football players and me, and I was like, "Okay, welcome to college." Little 17-year-old blonde Sammy with my books, like, "I'm here to be a college student. I just got done with gymnastics." And that's pretty much how it happened. So, a lot of redirection to go with the theme,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
I do think that everything is cliche. I'll probably say it 35 more times, but like everything works out. It works
Yeah.
out if you put in the work. If you're a good person, you don't give up. If you just keep pushing, something inevitably will present itself and it will work.
Yes. Yeah, and I
It'll
love what you said about like, I think we can talk about that showing your potential piece, like the coach coming up to you and saying, "Hey, if you can do this," and the bigger picture for that meet for you was to show that you have this ability. And I think if we think about that as a perspective for life, if we are putting the best face out there that we can, and it kind of goes along with, do the right thing, be the good person, contribute where you can, and just follow through, have that, put that effort in. When you do that, you do get good back. I do think that people will probably hear this and go, yeah, screw that, whatever, right? Like my life has sucked, right? But I also think that we have opportunities in those suffering moments to go, all right, what matters to me? And is this really the right direction for me? Because what we sometimes think is the right direction isn't. I mean, if you think back, like you said earlier, like when you were little, like gymnastics was going to be my life. Like this was my life. What,
Mhm,
my plan for life. Here we go. I don't know
mhm.
what that looks like, but this is what I want it to be. Like your mom was in coaching for years. Maybe she still is. I don't know. But like you guys are around, like that's your family, right? That's you were modeled that this is, we commit to something, we dive in, we put our head down and we go forward. And I love that. And I think my kids and I talk about that a lot. It's such an important value to have in this day and age. I think you stand out amongst many people when you have that, obviously. But also you got to be able to pivot and understand that again, like things are going to happen. Like you're working for in the country music industry, something completely different than athletics in general. So
But it
let's talk about
translates
how
very
that.
well.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. It translates very well. It is, yeah, I mean, I went to college and like I mentioned before, yeah, sure, I love going to class. I went. I mean, I got
Mhm.
again A's and B's. I was fine. I was fine. Like I didn't nothing about this sounds so bad, but like nothing about academics ever really excited me the way gymnastics did on my worst day. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it didn't fuel anything. And I know that there are people who are as competitive about their scholars or like competitive scholars they are athletes, if that makes sense. Like
Mhm.
I understand that
Yeah.
that works for people. That just wasn't me.
Yeah.
So I actually studied PR and broadcasting. Shocker. Right in front of the mic. I was on camera, hey, everybody. And just kind of again, a reminder back in the day. I know I'm not that old, but like there wasn't TikTok, there wasn't Instagram. Facebook
Yep.
was a baby. So the digital marketing aspect of what we see now was a fetus. It was nothing. So
Yes.
the broadcasting in PR world was so different. It was a little more, I don't know, it was just it was smaller because there wasn't
Mhm.
as much reach as we have
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
But I knew I watched E! News in high school every single day, and I was like, "I wanna be Juliana Rancic. I wanna be
I
Juliana
love
Rancic,
her.
I host E! News."
Yes.
So when I
Yeah.
decided that, I was like, "Well, how do you do that?" And then I looked,
Mhm.
Central Michigan has a broadcasting program, they have a PR program, whatever, and I did that. So I studied that, and I got to dip my toe in to the broadcast aspect of what eventually turned into my now career, which has been a million redirections to somehow end up right side up and working for Old Dominion. But I think the hustle and the mindset of being like, I'm going to make this work,
Mhm.
translates very well to the lifestyle I have now. But I originally graduated college and went and worked in, I forgot, I had a minor in sport management because I wanted to
Okay.
keep the sport alive. I wanted to work in sports.
Mhm.
So I worked for a minor league hockey team for 5 years right out of college, and when I tell
Mhm.
you that I had 68,000 jobs, oh, I had so many jobs. I ran the merch department, I was the mascot, I was a dance team coach. I had no business being any of these things, but I was like, "Sure, I can do it. I'll figure it out."
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, I was an interview
Mindset.
host.
Mindset.
Oh, yeah, and a sideline reporter. I was I worked at the front desk. I did everything for, like,
Mm.
$20,000 a year, by the way.
Mm.
I don't even know how I
Mm.
survived, but you know what? I was hungry and I was like, "I'll do it. I'll figure it out."
Mhm.
Um, ultimately, I think that that little 5-year chunk in Orlando prepared me to move to Nashville. So,
Mhm.
after I had finished my tenure in the minor league hockey, I really just woke up and I was like, "I can't do this. I gotta change
Mm.
something. I don't know what it is. This is not for me." I had always loved Nashville. I had visited Nashville. I've been a huge country music fan since birth. Uh, there was something about Nashville that I was like, I don't know, but I think I need to be there. I went through a breakup. I thought I was going to marry someone. Oops.
Mm.
Um, and in the wake of that breakup, I was like 26 years old. And again, you think your life is over because at 26, everything is a big deal. I didn't
Yes.
realize that my frontal lobe was closing at the moment and I was about to get the whole tool set to work with. I didn't realize I was
So
missing tools.
so important. Yes. Yeah.
Know it at the time, now I do. But
Yeah.
you know what? I went again, shout out to my parents, great support system. And I went and I sat at their house and like, what would make you happy? And I told them, I was like, I'm gonna move to Nashville. I had no plan, no job, no place to live. I didn't know anybody. And we went from Texas to my home in Orlando, packed up my stuff. My dad helped me rent a truck. We drove up to Nashville, Googling apartments on the way there, convinced my cousin to move with me. She had just graduated college. I'm like, you don't have anything to do. Let's go to Nashville. She's like, okay, sure.
I
So
love that.
we found an apartment, wasn't even built yet, signed up to be the first people to live in the apartment, moved in, went to lunch with my mom downtown, ended up getting a bartending job at the place we went to lunch because I hit it off with the bartender. He's like, "Oh, you're kind of funny. You want to work here?" It was Dick's Last Resort. If you've ever heard of it,
Yes.
you have to
Yes,
be funny.
totally.
You have to be funny. It's a comedy, stand up, whatever. You make hats, you interact with the guests. And he's like, "You're kind of funny. Have you ever thought about like, would you want to work here?" And I'm like, "Yeah, actually, I just moved here. I have no income and I don't know anybody." So that was my first intro to Nashville. Is that I came in guns a blazing, but like I was not going to fail. Every time I
Mm.
was talking with my parents, they would be like, "You know what, Sammy, if it doesn't work out, you can always come back here." And I'm like, "You're right. I
Yep.
will never do that though. Like, I will never do that. I will make this work." And I had no plan. I think now, like, God, I look back at 26-year-old me, so brave. At 35, I don't know
Wow.
that I could do it now. I'm not as brave.
Wow.
I don't know how to
Yes.
explain it, but like, I don't that is I knew no one. I knew no
Yeah.
one. I knew nothing.
You
I
had nothing to lose. I think that's the biggest piece. Like, you
well,
had nothing to lose. You also knew you had so much support behind you, and you were raised in a place where I'm gonna go all guns blazing, like you said. Like, that's it. I mean, and you had the mindset for that redirection. I think that's the thing. And that mindset, goal-oriented, you know you're going to do time. You know you got to do the time. You did the 5 years and you're like, I know now what I like, what I don't like, what works for me, what doesn't work for me. But you have to have those experiences to know how to move forward, right?
And that's like one of the biggest, now that I am, maybe not the youngest in the working realm that I work in, I meet a lot of young women, especially, and they ask me like, how did you do this? And one of
Mhm.
the things that I try and remind them is like, even if you hate everything about your job right now, you are learning what you hate. And that is also important. I know we're all trying to chase the euphoria and what we love and what we're looking for. But in order to maybe narrow that down, sometimes you got to do stuff you hate. And I
Yeah.
feel like that was all of my 20s. I don't want to work at Dick's Last Resort. Like, I mean, no offense to them. It was great. I made great money. I met great people. I got to practice my comedy. Like, but that wasn't why I moved to Nashville. And I knew that it was to pay my bills, to be able to figure out what is next. And
Mhm.
so I said, I'm going to work here for 12 months, however much money I can make in 12 months. I have to make a move after 12 months. Well, 12 months rolls around. Nothing.
Nothing.
Did I move
Oh,
to Nashville to be a waitress? Why did
wow.
I do that? I could have been a waitress at home, been near my family, could have been hanging out with my parents. I don't know. And I will never forget, I was having a mental breakdown, maybe, I don't know, driving home to my apartment that I could not afford. Um,
Mhm.
and I ended up hitting this like dead end. And I'm like, okay. So I turn around, redirect, go back down the hill, and I look over to my left, and there's a bunch of people working out in a parking lot. And I'm like, wow, I should join a gym. Mind you, leaving gymnastics and having that been so regimented in my 20s, I was like, I don't want to work out. I don't want to do this.
Yeah.
I wanna enjoy my
Yeah.
life. I want to sleep in. I don't want to go lift weights at 6 a.m. I've been doing that for 18 years. Um,
Yeah.
so I feel like I had kind of neglected the workout, everything about working out. Like I took care of myself. I was still naturally athletic, but like I didn't
Mhm.
have a community that I had grown up with. So I looked over at these people working out. I said, you know what? On Monday, I'm going to go to that gym. So I got up, I walked in to the gym, and I held the door and I said, okay, Sammy, if the people behind the front desk are in shape, you are going to join this gym. I had no money, by the way. Like this is like a boutique gym, and I'm like,
Okay.
you're gonna figure it out. I opened the door. It was like two of the most ripped, hot dudes I've ever seen in my life. I was like, damn it. And then ultimately, that gym was originally called Booth Camp. Now it's called BC Block, BC Gym, and it's owned by Sean Booth, who was on The Bachelor or Bachelorette or something about that franchise. I put it together once someone told me, but like I'm not really a reality TV gal, but I was just like, wow, this worked out so well. I joined the gym right there. Signed. I was like, I'm going to do this monthly membership. And I was at the gym for many years, but that was the community that really I feel like laid my foundation for Nashville as a whole. I met friends that
Mhm.
I am still friends with. I was at a party last night at one of my first friends I met at boot camp. Uh, was that English? No. Last night I went to a party and it was the first friend I met at boot camp. So now it's been 8 years and we're still friends, is what I'm trying to say.
Oh,
But
amazing.
ultimately, two of those people that I met worked in country radio. And I was like, how do I get in? How do I get into country radio? I would be great in country radio. And I would just tell them, I'm like, all I feel like is I just need someone to give me a chance and I will prove it. Similarly to how I was saying, like, listen, I've been in the situation before where everybody counted me down and out, like, oh, this isn't going to work. And then someone saw a little bit of my potential and I was like, just give me the opportunity. I will
Yeah.
run away so quick. And we will work together. I'm very coachable. I'm like, let's do this. So I'm talking months of my friends keeping their ears peeled for options in Nashville. Come to find out, there was an opening in their building. It was called the Cumulus Nash Campus, right downtown Nashville, walking distance from my apartment. I think that the universe and the Lord, whatever you believe in, puts things
Yes.
the way they're supposed to be. Um,
Totally.
so, me being able to walk to work, I find that serendipitous, and I'm going to go ahead and check that box. But it was not an easy time getting that job. I I emailed, his name is John Shabby. John Shamby, love him. Shout out to John. I mean, I still see him at events. I emailed that man like way too much. Hey, it's me. Hey, it's me checking in. Here's my resume. I was with Brian, friends. I was like name dropping. I'm friends
Yeah.
with these people. I'm very interested in this. And it was around Christmas time of probably 2018. I was interviewing for real jobs. I was like, I need to be an adult again. This has been so
Yes.
fun working downtown Nashville, but I moved here for a reason. Let's refocus. So many things fell through all through the Christmas season. So I go
Mhm.
home, you know, for Christmas after I've lived in Nashville for a year and I'm crying. I'm like, I don't know why I moved here. I can't, like, I have nothing. I moved to Nashville for what? And then get back from Christmas and John Shambi emails me. And he's like, I'd like you to come in for an interview. We have a front desk position open. I was like,
I'll
I'll
take it. Yeah, let's go.
He's like, "No, no, no, don't change your flight. This will be after the holidays." Like, nice man, whatever. I
Yeah.
come in, interview a couple, meet all the big wigs, and mind you, this position is not necessarily difficult work, but you're the first face on a campus that has 5 syndicated radio shows with big wigs.
Mhm.
So the biggest
Mhm.
names in country music are walking through the door every single day, and you're the first person they see. "Hi, I'm Sami. Welcome to Nash campus." That was me. Picture me blonde, short hair,
Okay.
young. Um, ultimately, that was the launching pad for everything. So
Wow.
I attest another piece of advice that I give young women is your community is incredibly important. The way you treat people and the way you make people feel is much more important than what you say and how good you are at literally anything. It does not
Amen.
matter. Something I really appreciate about Nashville is that it's a good hang town. If you are good at your job, but you're not a good hang, sorry, dude,
Yeah.
there's someone else that has the talent that you have and that can also fit into whatever the scope of personality needed is. And I
Mhm.
think that I give credit to my friends I met at the gym in the community that I built by proving that I was a good, not proving I was a good friend, but like naturally
Being a good friend, investing.
investing in them. They invested back.
Yeah.
And that was the launching pad for everything I've done in Nashville over the last, let's see, that was 2018. So what's that, 7 years has been
Yeah.
because John Shambi gave me a chance to sit at the Cumulus Nash campus desk that doesn't exist anymore, RIP. And because my friends put in a good word for me and went to bat for me and vouched for
Yeah.
me and got me in front of the right people. And then, ultimately once you're given the opportunity, it's up to you to seize it. Um,
Totally.
but from there, it's just been a lot of happy accidents that has led me to now work for Old Dominion.
The happy accidents, that's a great phrase. Love
Yeah.
that. And that's a really great way to look at reframing kind of the redirection and the disappointment that comes along with the things that we think that this is where I really wanna go, and
Yeah.
this isn't happening. So, it's by accident you drove down a dead end street. I mean, let's go back to that.
Oh,
Literally.
yeah, I think about that right place, right time. And okay, but here's the thing. This is what I'm saying is that everything works out the way it's supposed to be. The universe all finds in a plan. La 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 la. Sure,
Yeah,
it
yeah.
does. But if you don't do anything with it, then what's the point? So
Thank you. Yeah.
everybody drives down a dead end road every day. Everybody sees people working out like, oh, I wish I could join that gym. The difference is doing it. And
Mm.
I think that people ask me like, where do you get your confidence? It's not real. Like yeah, sure, I have confidence, but the thing about confidence is that nobody can tell if it's real or fake. And
Mhm.
yes, I have confidence in some of the things, but I am still nervous and anxious and doubting myself like everybody else is. But the difference that it makes to just try, to just
Mhm.
go, because one thing my dad has always said, and I say back as well, and I tell other people because it's so true, is that if you don't ask, the answer is always no.
Oh,
And I use that all the time. And sometimes it comes off as like, wow, you're ballsy. You asked. It's like, well, you were thinking it. I just asked
yeah.
it. And now look, we're in a different position because I just asked. You
Yes. You've
didn't know.
opened up a whole other can of worms.
Right. But you made up this
Mhm.
narrative in your mind that the answer was no. Who said that to you?
Mm.
You did.
Mhm.
Not
Mhm.
the decision maker. So it's just kind of a mindset. Again, this all stems back to athletics and how it's translated into my life. But once I left Cumulus Nashville because I got offered a job to work for Sony Music Nashville. So a woman who brought in all of the artists that I was seeing at the front desk, hi, welcome, worked for a record label. She's like, hey, have you ever thought about working for a record label? I'm like, I have not. I am making this up as I go. I just love country music. She goes, well, we have a position opening that I think would be great for you. This was like 11 months after I had
Oh,
started. And I'm like, well, I haven't even been here a year. I can't leave.
yeah.
Yes, you can. And here's the thing. Props to everybody that I worked with. And I do think that Nashville is very good at this, is that it is a collaborative town, not a
Mhm.
competition town. You
Mhm.
work with the same people. People skip jobs and move around. And it seems like when I first got here, I was like, why is everybody moving around a lot? But it's not icky like that. Yes, of course, there's people that have had the same job for 20 years, but with how quickly digital marketing and streaming and everything is moving around, the people
Mhm.
who work in the business also have to be malleable and flexible to be moving around. So I do think that there's a lot of crossover in this very, very small town that everybody thinks is a big town, by the way.
Mhm.
And so I went in and I interviewed, and I bullshitted the whole thing. I knew nothing. They were asking me about charts. They were asking me about all this stuff. And I was like, uh-huh, yeah. And then
Yeah,
at the end, they're like,
gotcha.
we really love your energy. And I said, well, your energy has to be 100% when your knowledge is 0. And
Sammy.
that was my end. I don't fucking know. We don't know what you guys are asking me. Sorry, I'll do that out. But
So
I
good.
don't know. I just lied. I smiled. I like Luke Combs.
Wow.
You know, I mean,
I love that.
I had a little more gumption. I had a little more substance. I didn't completely undersell myself, but I was incredibly transparent about the lack of experience I had. And they
Yeah.
still hired me. And I was
Well,
like,
that's the thing. The confidence piece, like, let's go back to that for a second. You're choosing it, right? You have
yes,
to choose it. And
yeah,
I love, like, we all have the happy accidents that happen to us each day. It's what we do with it. It's what we choose to do with it. That's the biggest part of it. And driving down that dead end for you, it creating a community that stepped you into the next community, that stepped you into the next community. And you could look back at it and go, damn, like that really sucked. That was a really hard time. I couldn't pay my bills. This was really hard. I knew nothing about the job, and I'm going to have to all that you could talk yourself into a grave, a spiral grave of how bad things are.
yes.
Or you could
Oh,
talk
easily.
yourself out, like you could say, I'm capable. I may not know it. And like you said, being transparent is such a big deal. It's such
Yes.
a big deal because I found, like, if I'm in a job and I'm doing some kind of subcontracting work for some reason, if I'm not honest and transparent up front with the narrator, with the author, with the musician, whatever it is, I can't, like, it's not going to be good for either party involved. You know what I'm saying? And why am I limiting myself, but also inhibiting their project from moving forward in a positive way?
Mhm.
I mean, I can choose to say, this is works, this doesn't work, but I can also choose to say, you know what, it is what it is. And I'm going to continue my drive forward with what it is that I need to be doing, and trust. Like, a big thing is trust. Like, I hear trust all over your story. You have to you got to surrender and trust.
Yeah. And
How
that's
hard
not
is that?
easy. That is not easy. I feel like also, I really want to reiterate back how playing off what you're just saying, but a big piece of confidence can sometimes be admitting that you don't know. And I
Mm,
think, like, okay, the same way that you're saying that you have to like trust the process, trust
mhm.
myself, trust the universe, trust it's going to work out. You also need trust from the other people you're working with. And something that has worked for me, thank God, because I feel like I have no other backup plan, is being incredibly transparent and admitting when I'm like, I don't know. That
Mm,
builds
mhm.
trust with someone you're working with. Because multiple times I have not known what I'm doing, but I'm like, but I'm going to figure it out. And
Yeah.
and then when you do figure it out and you do show up for that person, that is a type of trust that is intangible. That's something that started from being maybe a little haphazard and a little scared, but I was confident enough to be like, "Hey, I don't know this, but I'm going to figure it out for us, for you, for me, for whatever's going, and then we're going to go from there. How about that? Does that
Mhm.
sound like a good plan?" And just kind of opening that door. Like confidence doesn't always have to be loud and I got this and I know I'm going to do it. Confidence sometimes is just being able to take a step back and be like, "Well, I'm going to be brave enough to try. And if I
Oh,
don't, then I don't. But if I don't try, then I know I don't. But at least now I have a little bit of a hope to make it."
yeah.
And I know that's a lot of word salad to just describe, like, I don't know, confidence isn't always sexy and
Right.
not always real. I mean, like I was saying, like my confidence is not always real. I don't know.
Right. But it's bravery. I love what you said about it. It's stepping out and being brave enough to put those shoes on, and walk
Oh,
around in
yes.
them.
And I
Yeah.
think that is like, listen, I've always had a bold personality. I've never been shy. I've always been the kid, like singing at 4th of July in my leotard on the front porch that nobody asked for. Like, yes, I've always been that child. So I know that people didn't have that growing up. So it's hard to kind of learn that in the fast paced environment that is being an adult. So I have
Yeah.
empathy for those people. However, I also take it upon myself, like when I spot someone that I can maybe see that, to me, it's not my job, but my responsibility to humanity to reel them on in and to not do anything for them other than to make them feel comfortable enough for them to be themselves. And I
Yes.
feel like, okay, I'm getting off topic here, but I think that that is how I got the job that I have now, is that
Yeah.
it's a people game.
Yeah.
I'm a people person. And like that is something that you have to learn and develop on your own. You cannot go to school and learn that. You cannot be taught that. That's something that you have to work at and develop, and yours is different than mine. We do not we are not people the same. That makes sense.
Yes. We don't people the same. Yeah,
And
totally.
everybody's personality is different. Everybody meshes different. Everybody reads the room differently. And I think that it's like, again, stemming from the confidence of just trying. Just try. Listen more than you're talking. I know you. I know you're probably
Mm.
thinking I don't ever listen because I'm always talking, but I
It's
do shut up
great.
sometimes. But I think that people tell on themselves. You
Yeah.
don't really have to pry as much as maybe you would think to get to know someone.
Yeah.
They'll tell on themselves. You just have to be observant enough and care enough to put it together.
Totally, totally. Yeah, showing up for people. I want to talk a little bit about, you mentioned it briefly about going home for the holidays and being like, what am I going to do? Why did I move to Nashville? Why is this happening? What is going on? That hopeless kind of place, and that maybe a rudderless kind of place, or that kind of despair that you were in. Because I think it's great for us to know the wonderful things about how everything has transpired for you. But I really want to hear how you manage to navigate out of that place where you're like, you could have stayed at home. You could have not gone back to Nashville after that holiday.
I
Like,
really
what did you develop that? Or, you know what? Hey, maybe you've always had that muscle because it's been developed in you from a very young age with the college athletics and the sport before college, too. So maybe there's a lot of that too. But how did you manage that and navigate it?
Hmm. That's a really good question. A lot of tears.
Hmm.
It wasn't pretty. It wasn't pretty. I think that the compounding events from like 2017 to 2019, oh, I would never go back. I would never
Hmm.
go back. And I wish I could almost like peer back and look and see and like be nicer to that girl because I was not nice to myself about it.
Oh, wow.
And I think that it's incredibly important. Listen, there's enough haters in the world. You don't need to be a hater on yourself too. Okay? What are you
Yeah.
doing? And the whole thing is that after all of the tears, after overthinking everything, I still knew that like is going to happen.
Yeah.
And I couldn't describe it. I had no idea how it was going to happen. I didn't have a plan. I didn't even have a prayer. I was just like, I just know it. I don't know what that is. So I don't know how to describe that to someone that has never felt it, but it's just kind
Mhm.
of like, well, I'm going to do this. So
I
like
think
after I cried and drank 32 bottles of red wine and and I'm 27, the world is ending, everybody's married and I'm not. And cry, 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 cry. And then I was like, I'm gonna do it. And I did. And
yeah.
I mean, I know that's a very simplified version of it, but I just think it's like you just have to. And
Mhm.
my thing is that I was always hungry to look for an opportunity. So I do
Mm.
think that I broke down mentally all the way. Like, why did I move to Nashville to be a waitress? And then once you're here, you can only build up. So then it was
Yeah.
things, all right, well, now I got to switch my mindset. All right, Sam, what are you good at? In 5 years, can you picture what you want to be doing? I couldn't. I was like, what are you guys looking at 5 years? What, do you guys have a crystal ball? Who's looking in
Yeah.
this? How do you know what you're doing in 5 years? I couldn't have predicted the last 20. Why would I know the next 5?
Yeah.
But the shift in the mindset was ultimately just, listen, it was discipline. It wasn't because I
Mhm.
wanted to. It wasn't because I felt like oh God, did I not want to? But it was like I had to. I knew
Mm.
that no one was really coming to save me. You're 27 years old, Sam. Welcome to the real world.
Yeah.
Figure it out. And there is no right or wrong. But to me, I knew what was right or wrong for me. Leaving Nashville was wrong. I didn't know what it was going to be, but I knew I was going to work in country music. I knew I was going to be on the red carpet at the CMAs. I knew I was going to be brushing elbows with the biggest stars. I knew it. I had no idea how, I had no idea when, and I didn't really have a plan. I just knew it. And
Yeah.
so I kept my eyes open for any opportunity. And I'm talking volunteer work. I'm talking the merch trucks at 5 a.m. on Broadway to load in for Dierks Bentley's, whatever. The very, very, very unsexy stuff that I would say yes to, jump at an opportunity, run myself into the ground, work, 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 work. The year 2019, I worked every single day for 6 months straight, 7 days a week.
Wow. Oh
Worked
my.
at the Nash campus. I was bartending at a different place in the Gulch, and I was also volunteering for everything in the CMA landscape here in Nashville. Anything I could do, just meet people, to chat with them, to see if they know someone. Do you have an opening? And so I just came back in 2019 with a hustle mindset that was like, I'm not failing.
I love that.
And so I've always been, again, incredibly competitive. I love when someone tells me I can't do something. I'm like, okay, well, now I'm going to do it twice, and I'm going to take pictures, and I'm going to tag you and your mom so she knows. Like, I'm just that bitch. And I just think
Love it.
like, once I broke myself down to nothing, I was like, I'm back. Like, I was like, what am I even doing? Psh,
Yeah.
I got this. But it wasn't that quick of a shift, but it was a very important shift that ultimately, got me on my feet again into Sony. And then, you know what? A pandemic happened. You ever started a job a month before a pandemic happened? I have.
Yeah.
That was weird. I worked for Sony for 2 years during the pandemic, and they ended up ultimately firing me once the doors opened back up. Redirection. Whoops.
Wow.
Thought I was going to work at Sony for the rest of my life. Jokes. Lasted 2 years. Obviously, the pandemic was like an incredibly strange time for everyone. And I will always, the same way I'll always give props to my friends who got me in the door at Cumulus, I will always give props to Sony for keeping me through the pandemic. Because yes, of course, I was doing the work that was asked of me, and I was not necessarily just like a freeloader for the company. I did work hard, but I was the last one in the door. So ultimately, I was like, I'm the first one gone. They haven't even had time to onboard me, and they kept me. And I did participate and work hard, and I learned a lot in that short 2 years about myself, about the world, about work, about Nashville, about country music, about, I don't know, I lifted the hood on country music, and I saw underneath much more working for a record label than I could have ever imagined. And then that is when I was like, holy shit, I'm in. When I worked there, I was like, this is it. I don't know which avenue I'm going to take, but I'm going to work in country music for the foreseeable future. I knew once I saw all of the people and all of like, I still can't even describe everything that happens within the industry that I had no idea. And I was like, oh, okay, this is why I'm here. So yeah, I was devastated when I got fired from there. I had never been fired before. Anybody who's not been fired, I mean, it's not fun, as you can imagine. That's a tough. Oh, also, by the way, I had just bought my first house.
Oh no.
So I bought my first house and then got fired.
Oh my gosh.
That's not stressful. That's not, again, me freaking out. I'm like, okay, cool. Could we just, like, the world had just started opening up. It was 2021. I'm not even joking when I say I accidentally bought this house, because I don't know if you remember that the housing industry was like insane, and you had $100,000 over to ask with cash, and then you wouldn't get it. And it was like Black Friday, but for houses. I was like,
yeah, I remember.
I'm not fighting anybody for a big screen. But ultimately, the house I'm in right now, I can't even describe how serendipitous it was that it just came to. This is how confident I was that I wasn't going to get the offer. I put in an offer, and I had a family trip to Aruba planned for that weekend. Hey, tip for anybody that wants to buy a house: don't buy a house and then leave the country. But that's how confident I was that I wasn't going to get the offer. And then and you want to know what it was? Her name was Corliss. She was a 63-year-old single working woman. And she said, I really like your energy, and I want this house to go to someone who is a working young woman, like professional, who carries the energy that I want this house to have. And I was like, wow, thank you. I'm 30 years old, working at a record label, thinking I'm so cool. The world's opening up. I'm about to work for this the rest of my life. I'm going to be, hey, by the way, you don't work here anymore. I'm like, oh, okay. Let me figure out how I'm going to pay a mortgage.
Right. You have a lot on you now. Yeah, for sure.
But it comes back to, again, the same thing, my community. Guess what? I got a call from a guy that I worked with at Sony. I thought he was going to be asking me about something from my responsibilities at Sony, he just hadn't heard that I got fired. So I pick up the phone and I was like, I don't work with you anymore. And he was
Okay.
like, I know. I'm calling you. And
Oh,
I'm like, sorry. Like he was just like,
okay.
I know. But I mean, we were friends. I was just joking. I was like, I don't work with you anymore, buddy. I can't help you. And he's like, no, I know. I'm calling you. And I'm like, okay. And he said, you ever thought about touring? And I was like shows, touring? No. Same answer
Yeah.
I had when someone asked me, have you ever thought about working for a record label? No.
Right.
He goes, well, I have it on good authority that Kenny Chesney is looking for one more female to fill a roster for a promotional tour coinciding with his summer tour for the Blue Chair Bay Rum. And I was like, I love Blue Chair Bay Rum. I had never had Blue Chair Bay Rum, nothing. So again, I'm like, okay, what do I
Yeah.
need to do? I'm like laying on my couch, contemplating life. And I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, how do I do that?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
he's like, all right, let me see what I can do. I'll call you back. Okay. So then I'm like, am I about to go on tour with Kenny Chesney? I'm like, I don't know how to tour. Well, similarly to my interview at Sony, I just walked in and I was like, yeah, I don't know how to tour. I don't know anything about rum, but I know people and I know how to sell rum to people.
Mhm.
This tastes like a vacation in your mouth. You should have a vacation.
Right.
Know what I was doing, but I got that job. I traveled the entire summer promoting rum in very sexy locations and very unsexy locations. Like
Okay.
scary. Whoa, what are we doing?
Scary, scary places. Yeah.
We're wrapped in a tour bus that has blue and yellow and all these neon green colors in rum bottles. So it's not like we blended in. People were knocking on our door, trying whatever. It
Yeah.
was a wild summer. But you know what? Old Dominion was opening for Kenny Chesney. I got to meet their touring crew. And at the end of the tour, I was also very vocal. I took the Kenny job as like a contracted job. So I knew at the end of the summer I had no income.
Yeah.
I was telling everybody, hey, I don't
Yeah.
have a job after this. What are y'all doing? Obviously, casually, professionally in some aspects,
Right.
funny in other aspects. Who knows?
Putting yourself out there. You have to be your own advocate.
The answer is always no if you don't ask.
Thank
Guess
you.
what? I need a job. Does anybody have a job for me? And
Yeah.
so they pulled me aside at the end of the tour. And this is how dumb I am. I will never forget this. The tour manager at the time, he was like, hey, what are you doing after this? I was like, oh, I think I'm going to catering. What are you doing? And he was like, I meant after the tour. I'm like, oh, I'm probably not going to do catering after the tour. I don't know. I thought he was just asking me what I was doing after sound check. And he's like,
Right.
well, this was in 2022, and Old
Mhm.
Dominion had not yet done their own headlining arena tour, and that was launching
Mhm.
in 2023. And he said, we have a production assistant job available, and we think you'd be a good fit. And I was like, okay. Mind you, at this exact time, I was interviewing with the Aldine family to be
Okay.
their like in-house manager, kind of a gray area job, but just like an assistant for them. And I'm
Yeah.
like, okay, I really want to do that. However, I had given my word to their family and through their business manager that I was going to come and do almost like an audition week. And
Okay.
so this is like at the beginning of September. And I'm like, listen, I need until the end of September because I gave these people my word. And
Mhm.
also, I didn't know if I wanted to do that job. I was like, wait, I haven't even tried that. What if I love working for them and having more stability like in Nashville instead of being on the road?
Right.
Well, I did that for about 3 days. And they were great, by the way, fantastic, but I wanted to be on the road. And I was like,
Yeah.
I think I'm not really done with this. This again, a happy accident. I had never even considered touring. I didn't know. And I ended up really liking it. It is so chaotic. It is
Mhm.
not a good lifestyle for most. I will not recommend it. But if it's for you, it's for you.
Yeah, it's your path. It's like I think about that. You said it earlier, like we're different people. We each have our strengths that we can contribute to the whole, right? And you find your path. What works for you may not work for me, but like that's what we're here to do is find our path,
Oh,
right? And contribute.
and it's funny that you say that because I feel like now I've reached a okay, so when you like think back and you're like, I can't really remember if I felt that way or I just say that now because I've lived through it and now I've seen how it played out. And so like I've put my own emotion on it now to a prior situation that maybe I didn't feel that way.
Yeah.
So now that I don't know. I feel like I'm in a new chapter. I've been on the road for 3 years. I'm 35. I still live in the home. I didn't lose the home, got a job, paid my bills. Let's go. We're still here.
Let's go.
But I do think that everything has been, oh my God, knock on wood, don't even say this out loud, it's been going well. It's been
Right.
like, okay, this has really settled in a
Mhm.
good way, not in like I'm a settling way, but like, okay, we've taken a breath. And so now I'm finding myself having a hard time seeing or feeling what's next because it feels so good right now. I'm like,
Mhm.
the other times that I feel like I had to think about what was next was because I had to, because there was nothing right here that was good. I had to think of what was next in order to get the good, but now I'm in the good. And that is a shift in my mindset that I'm really, really, really trying to just enjoy. I feel like my entire life has been like next level, next grade, next job, boom. And now I'm like, oh, I kind of like it here. I'd like to
Yeah.
be okay with being right here for right now and like just being really good at what I'm doing right here.
Yeah.
And sometimes
And
being right here is the next step. It's okay if the next step is the same as the one you're on right now,
totally.
but I'm
Yeah.
trying to teach myself that in real time.
Well, it's hard too, but I think from everything I hear you saying, it's going well because you know you're capable. You know you're capable. You
I
know you're a hustler. You know you can do it if it needs to come down to that. So I agree with you. It's like sitting with it right now and just really letting it kind of marinate with you, if you
yes,
will, and kind of
it's
just
weird.
letting it be peace. It's very odd because that's not been your MO for so long. So
No.
like your redirection path has been so much, I got to dig it up. I'm going to figure it out. And you know you're going to figure it out,
Mhm.
right? Because the attitude and the effort is there. And I think that's the biggest thing that I hear from this whole conversation. When you are in a path of having to face something that you have no idea what's going to happen next, or this is the way it was going to go, but the car's turning this way, it's got a flat tire. I probably got
Yes.
to pull over and change this. And I don't know what that looks like. And it's starting to rain. Now, what am I going to do? But I'm going to figure it out. You know, you're going to figure it out. And that's what I really hear, such a predominant theme in your life. And you learn that at a very young age. I love it. But, obviously along the way, you got ups and downs and bumps
Yes,
and bruises that happen. But
of course.
with where you are now, oh God, yeah, sit with it and like let it be a part of you and enjoy it because that's true growth too. And I love what you said earlier about the frontal lobe closing. You're 26 years old. Like everybody knows this.
Dude,
We don't
I went
fully mature and develop.
don't know if it's just because we didn't have like internet access the way we have now, but like I I mean, again, and now I say this and I'm like, why didn't anybody tell me? But it's not like I would have listened. I would have been like,
Mm,
whatever, old lady, whatever you say. And now I'm like, wow, it makes a really big difference. I'm telling you right now. And I feel like now that I am the older lady in some of my situations, I've been saying that I've been meeting a lot of young women that will ask
yeah.
me, how'd you get here? And like one of the first things I'm like, hey, you're not cooking with the whole toolbox. Give yourself a second.
Oh,
You're gonna figure
wow.
it out. You're gonna figure it out. I promise. It will come together. And I don't know. I don't know that you can physically feel your frontal lobe developing, but I feel like I could. I feel like I was like, and I'm like, oh my God, I can do this. He
Yeah.
is emotionally immature. I will save that money. Like everything just starts to, oh God, I'm like, take it. You don't know everything. You don't know anything, actually. You're just figuring it out. Like, give yourself a break. I wish I could have said it
Mm.
myself, but
Well, that was my next question. What has this redirection and what has this experience since all of this began for you? And I'm going to say began for you back when you were a junior in high school and you were like, what happens now? Because it's just a series of experiences that you've gone through that have really kind of cultivated and like flexed that muscle, if you will, to
yes.
get you to this next place. And that's really what we're here to do. But what has that taught you in terms of what you would tell other young women, other people and people in general? Because I think it doesn't just apply to the young women that we're talking about with the frontal lobes that are closed, right? It can be young men. It can be 40-year-olds that are facing something that's like, whoa, this is what I thought was going to happen. How do I handle this? What do I do with this information now? And where do I go? And trust that it's going to be okay.
I think that this kind of to circle it back. Okay. There are so many ways I want to answer this question, but I think I can consolidate it. Starting firstly with the fact that there's always room at my table. And if everybody had that mindset, I think the world would just be more collaborative and less competitive in a negative nature. However, just because you're sitting at my table and there's room for you doesn't mean that we're not competing with one another, but it's a
Mhm.
healthy competition. It's me pushing you, you pushing me. It's not me, well, you have that, so I wanted that. It's mine. It's like, no, 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 no. At the end of the day, you're not me. So it doesn't even matter. We're not playing the same game. We're playing two different games. And it's just like the open-mindedness of being more of like a teammate and a collaborator. And
Love that.
a helping hand. And sometimes a helping hand is physically doing labor with someone. Sometimes it's just listening. Sometimes it's offering advice. Sometimes it's picking someone up from the airport. But having that mindset of like, we're in this together, I think would eliminate a lot of nasty internal dialogue that comes out. Like, I don't know if you've read a comment section on the internet ever, but that
Oh,
nasty
yeah.
dialogue is what comes out in those comments. And it's just like, if people didn't feel threatened that because I succeeded at something, now you can't. If they didn't have that feeling, it's like, I succeeded, and they looked at it like, wow, she can do it, I can do it. I think
Yeah.
everything would be different. And so even women older than me that I have had conversations with, they're like, I've been struggling. How do you have such a because I work in a male dominated industry. Let me
Mhm.
tell you, honey, it's 99 men and Sammy. And guess what? It doesn't bother me at all. And like, there are situations that are handed to men much easier than they're going to be handed to me. I'm sure
Mhm.
there are reverse handed to me easier than it's handed to them. I'm not
Mhm.
saying that, I'm just not a man, so I can't tell you. From
Yeah.
my experience is like, these women that maybe didn't grow up in a generation that was so accepting to have working women and to
Mhm.
have independent women, like 35, single, no kids, clutches pearls. They had that
Yeah.
mindset.
Yeah.
They have, or I've heard, I've seen, I've noticed, they have the mindset of like, doesn't it bother you that he got it and you didn't? And I'm like, no, look at this idiot. If he can do it, I can do it twice better.
Oh,
Also, wait, hold on. I don't know if you can read this. My mom,
wait, the cup
how hard
says,
can it be? Boys do it.
"How
This,
hard can it be? Boys do it." That's your coffee cup. I love it.
boys do it. And it's like, although this is, sarcastic and kitschy and all that stuff, it is like the mindset is like, how hard could it be? They did it,
Yeah.
so I could do it. And so that's kind of like, now my next step from that, it would be like, hey, how'd you do that? Can you come sit at my table and we can work
Yeah.
together on this? Because I'd like to do something similar. But I see your path and I'd like to see what's going on there. And it's just like the mindset that competition doesn't need to be toxic. Competition
Mm.
is exciting and it's thrilling and it makes you feel something. It makes you work for something. And then when you work for something and you achieve it, oh, put that in a drug and sell it. It's so good. And it's just like, if you've never had that experience though, how do you sell that to someone? They're like, "Oh yeah, sure,
Right.
feels good." And I'm like, "No, it feels so good. Feels so good
Mm.
to say, I'm
Mhm.
gonna do this and do it." And who cares if you lean on people around you? That's the point of the community. That's
Yeah.
a very important part. Again, build your community. I said that at the beginning because I'd be
Yes.
nothing. I'd be nothing without the people around me. I know that. And I try to say that out loud and give them as many props as possible, but like, as much as I lean on my community and I really invest in them, they invest in me. It's a working
Yeah.
relationship back and forth. And I just think that if there was a way to translate that, people would feel so much less insecure. So then the internal dialogue wouldn't be so negative. It wouldn't come out so negative. It would be more teamwork. Teamwork
Yeah.
makes it teamwork, baby.
Totally, and collaborative. Collaborative. I love the visual of sitting at my table, and
Mhm.
I love what you said about competition being a healthy situation too. That's
It
such a
is.
big deal. Yeah, such a
It
big deal.
really is. And I hope that, I mean, if I ever do have children, like I hope I can teach them that by showing them instead of
Mhm.
telling them. So I feel like I try and hold myself accountable to that. Now that I've entered this new chapter where, like I'm saying, I'm meeting younger women, I'm having conversations with them. Honey, you're not going to take my job. I'm not going to take yours. Let's work
Yeah,
together. There's room for both of us. There's room for all of us. Like, I don't think that someone else's success is a threat to your own. And it's just
mhm.
like, I don't know how to articulate that. I do feel like that's like a life mission for me. It's just like to help everybody see that, hey, this isn't a threatening environment if you don't want it to be. Competition is healthy. Competition
Mhm.
pushes the boundaries in a good way.
Yeah,
What's the point? Like, I'm very goal oriented. I write down my goals. It's like by the hour, by the day, by the week, by the month, by the year. Guess what? Sometimes I achieve none of them. But
mhm.
having some sort of guideline and like trying to stick to that has cleared a lot of like mental fog for me. And I feel like it's opened me up to be able to help others maybe like operate that way. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? And if
to
it doesn't work. Everybody's different. But it's like, I'm gonna try. I'd love to
yeah,
try. I'd love to help. Yeah.
yeah. The answer is always no if you don't ask and if you
It's
don't try. Totally. And you are such a light and such a mentor. I mean, that's you really are. And when you said it like being accountable, I had just thought of it as like you get dude, like you're walking the walk. You're walking the walk. And I love that about you. And I think that's
yeah.
something that is so refreshing And I don't think that we see that very often. So thank you for
Well,
being
thank
that person. And thank you for putting that out there because it's important. Like so many of us can walk that walk. We just have to trust it and we have to choose it.
And it's not always comfortable. First of all, thank you. That's
Mhm.
like so kind to say. I don't know if anybody's ever
Aw.
said something so kind to me.
Well, it's
Um,
true. It's so true. I mean, you're being extremely vulnerable, you're being extremely transparent, and those are attributes that go into the to me anyway, that go into the authenticity part and that go into the I'm walking my walk. I'm not just going to preach it, but this is what I've done. Hey, it sucked, but this is how I've done it to get through. And this is what it's made a difference for me. And this is what matters to me because of X, Y, and Z, you know?
sure.
And that
Yes.
there's more than enough for everybody. I love that piece too.
There's an abundance available for everyone. It's just, I listen, you said the word accountability, and I guess that is the word that I have been describing this whole time. But like accountability is incredibly, incredibly important to me as a student. So when I'm learning from someone and they're not walking the walk, but they just talk the talk, ooh, girl. I call her Lil Shay Shay. She comes out, she's very mean. She's not very mean, she's very quick-witted, and I'm like, "This is dumb." Like,
Yeah.
if I ask you why, and you can't give me a why, or like, I haven't seen you do it yourself, or whatever it may be, if it just seems like you're leading from ego because I said so,
Yeah.
this is
Yeah.
me.
Yeah. Do you
I'm
wanna
not.
know something? My youngest daughter is so A-type driven personality, the gymnast, just like
Yes.
you, right? And
Yep.
she, from a very young age, would call me out. I could see right through me. I could not give her a because I said so. Do this because I said so. She would be like,
Why?
"Give me the why. I
Yes.
need to know the
That's me.
why." Yeah,
My
and
poor
we
parents, sorry.
gotta dig that up. I think we learn so much about ourselves when we give ourselves the permission to find out our why, and then we can be
Yes.
more for our community, be more for ourselves, be more for everybody, every piece that we're helping, everything where we're involved in the world. It's
I
just
also think that it
important.
lends itself well to, independence. So, like, I say the accountability, I need you to be accountable because I'm gonna be accountable as well, but if you can tell me what our why is, okay, our why is
Mm,
that we gotta clean the house, why? Because family's coming and we want our home to look great for them. Now, here's the thing, since you've told me what our why is, I don't have to come back to you every 5 seconds and be like, "Okay, so now what? Okay, so now what?"
mhm,
I know what the end goal is. You've trusted me with whatever you're putting on my plate in order to make sure that our house looks good for the family. So guess what? Go do it. You have
mhm,
independence to do it. And then I think that the reward comes from the fact that, like, you didn't tell me that I had to clean the bathroom, but I did, and then grandma walked in and she's like, "This bathroom looks great."
oh,
That was me because I knew the why. And so I know that that's like a silly comparison, but
no,
I
it's beautiful.
in order to also instill confidence in people is to give them freedom to make their own decision. And then guess what? If they have freedom, they have to be accountable or they're not. And then you see, like, it just all lays out. So it's like, I think there's a lot of ways to help people be better versions of themselves by just giving them space. They don't need you to micromanage them, but I think accountability is where it starts. Confidence, like we said, is sometimes fake, but if you're accountable to the end goal and you know what the why is, the confidence will come in when it's supposed to come in.
Totally. Amen. 100%
Was
mic
that
drop.
long-winded?
Yeah, no, that's so good. That's so good. And I think about how that fits in with the whole redirection piece that we've been talking about today and how it goes hand in hand. You know what I mean? It's all such a big piece. I also want to go back real quick about the two things can exist simultaneously. I loved that comparison. You can have disappointment and have gratefulness over something, and they can exist in the same bowl, but it's the figuring out how to decipher what's yours, what's not yours, how to move through that, and what your reactions or responses are going to be. And ultimately, if you have something that pops up in your face that goes, this isn't working, and you thought it was going to work, I have the confidence to say, I know myself well enough. I can figure it out. I can figure it out.
Yeah, I mean, trust me, I think that two things can be true thing I say the most to myself because I feel like I'm constantly feeling multiple things at once. Isn't that the human experience? I
Totally.
think that it's more common to be feeling multiple things at once than to not be.
Mhm.
Like, when are you ever just like, I am incredibly happy all around? Never. I'm incredibly sad all around. Probably never. Like, there is still joy in very dark moments, and there's still dark moments with a lot of joy, but it's just kind of like acknowledging that and then seeing, like, all right, is this something that needs my attention right now? Or is this something that maybe I could address later? Is this something that's detrimental? Is it going to matter in 5 years? That invisible plan that everybody keeps telling me to imagine. Where do you see yourself in 5 years?
Mhm.
What is that question? I don't know why it
Yeah.
bothers me. I don't know. Where do you see yourself in 5 years? I see myself on a yacht. I also see myself being, like I could list a million things. I could do whatever I want. Five
Yeah.
years, you know how much time 5 years is? So it's like,
Yeah.
I know that sounds insane, but I'm like, how can you put a limit? How can you're asking me to put a limit on it. You're asking me to
Ooh.
decipher something that it's like, I don't want a limit. I don't want to answer
Mhm.
that question. Why would I confine myself to what I think I'm going to be doing in 5 years when the universe is going to show me?
Yeah. And that comes from your experience with redirection, bottom line, with having
Well,
to figure it out.
yeah. And
Oh,
obviously, the more experiences you have, the more you learn, the better you are for the next situation if
mhm.
you hold yourself accountable. You
Totally.
still got to do the work. So, life is not a free ride, baby. There's a lot of ups and downs, but I just feel like
Mhm.
there's so much to learn, so much to see, so much to meet and to absorb and to collaborate with. It's like, I don't know. I think I'm incredibly lucky that I am a genuinely happy person. I mean, I know that that is a stepping. What am I trying to say? Like a perk that
Yeah.
not a lot of people have to deal. Like they
Right.
have other things. It's like I'm very self-aware. I try and take good care of myself, whether it be nutrition, mentally, spiritually,
Mhm.
physically, moving my body, getting sunlight. Like all of these things are choices that I make to hold myself accountable, to give myself the best chance at being happy and at being successful. And it's like, no one else can do the work for me. I can't
Mhm.
expect someone to work hard and I get the benefit from it. And I just think that it's so easy to forget that. It's
Yeah.
hard to do. It's hard. When
Yeah.
I'm not motivated every day, but it's dedication.
Yeah.
Motivation
Yeah.
comes and goes. Dedication is who you are. It's your character.
God, I love it. Yeah. It's rewarding in the end. Totally.
It is. It is so good. I mean, even talking about home ownership, like some of the most prideful moments I've had in the last 4 years of owning this home has been like fixing the toilet
Yeah.
or fixing the sink or something, repairing something. I'm like, I own this. This is my
Mhm.
responsibility. Now, the majority of the time I'm like, oh, where is the handyman?
Yeah.
Once I get past that part and I am not a little brat anymore and I fix it, that feeling is like, oh, I can do
Yeah.
anything. And it's
Totally. Totally.
so nice.
Oh, God. Sammy, you are so amazing. I love, 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 love our conversation today. And I adore your energy. And the lady that sold you the house is not wrong. You inhabit such a wonderful space and you bring such a light to the world. So, God, thank you so much for sharing, like I said earlier, vulnerably, transparency, everything across the board, authenticity. It's just oozing out of you. And I wish you absolutely nothing but the best. You deserve all of it. And everything is figure outable, right?
Everything is figure outable. It might not be right now, but it will be eventually.
Amen.
I'm
Amen.
set up.
Oh, mm, yes. Well, have a wonderful rest of your day, wonderful rest of your week, and I hope to connect with you again soon because I would love for us to have some coffee together and chat a little bit more.
I would love that. Thank you so much for having me. This has been so much fun. You're so kind.
Yay.
And you know what? The world needs podcasts like this. Everyday people relating to them, making people see that they are not alone. I think it's incredibly important. So I appreciate you letting me be a part of this. I was incredibly excited. And guess what? It lived up to all my expectations and more.
Yay! I'm so happy. So
Yes.
glad you were able to be in the middle of a huge, huge busy season that you're in right now. So thank you for taking the time. Thank you for that sweet compliment. And it's what we're here to do. We're wired to connect. We are wired to relate. And let's go out there and do it.
Oh, thank you so much, Don.
You got it.
Bye.